Welcome to another edition of Talk City Greensboro, produced by GTN, featuring interviews and events happening around town. It's an easy way to stay in the know while you're on the go. Subscribe to Talk City on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or SoundCloud so you can keep up with what's going on in Greensboro city government. I'm your host, Josh Johnson, and today with me around the big round table is my good friend and co-producer and partner in crime, Michael Boyd. He's one of the producers here at GTN. Michael, thanks for being on the podcast with me, buddy.
Oh, no problem. This is my first time. I'm a little nervous, but I'm gonna get through it.
Don't be nervous, buddy. You've heard it, so
Yes.
you know who's gonna mess it up first.
I hope not.
Yeah, we'll be good.
All right. So the Kathleen Clay Edwards Family Branch Library will be singing the blues in February. Library Associate Will Carter has put together an enlightening program, 10 Things to Know About the Blues. And he's here with us today to tell us about the program and some of the things to know about the blues. Will, thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, sure. It's my pleasure.
Hey, Will, thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, man.
So, I'm a big blues fan.
Yes.
So we're going to try to keep this at 20 minutes, everybody, but just hang on because it could get a little crazy. So why is the library doing a blues program?
Well, it's part of a larger project. The library does programming year-round for adults, kids. It's not just story time.
Right.
This is part of a bigger, it's under the African American History Month umbrella for February. And as far as it goes, I thought that highlighting one of the greatest cultural artistic offerings that we've had
ever
in America would be a heck of a thing to do. So
Absolutely.
I've been tracking down a lot of the history and interesting aspects and things about blues music, where it came from, and all of that, and hoping to display that in a nice little exhibit at the Kathleen Clay branch on February 11th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that's a lot of history you
That
have
is
gathered.
So that's a whole lot.
Yes. Yeah, it sure is. And it really starts, with in some ways we're just a continuation of that here, the storytelling aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Right. So just how prolific is the influence of blues music?
Well, the influence has been strong for a long time, and I used to be in a better position to answer that. My ability to follow music trends has diminished in the last few years. But keep in mind, two of the longest-running music journals, Rolling Stone and Mojo, for example, take their names from the blues.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
You might say that at this point, the blues is kind of like a favorite uncle, right? That's what I like to think. It's an established, existing entity,
Okay.
right? It has a history and a mythology. It has advocates and detractors. And the thing that I have recently realized by doing all this work and looking a little deeper into it is just how much the blues evolved in tandem and inseparably from U.S. culture at large.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah. It goes back to early show business days from Ma Rainey and W.C. Handy, and then jumping forward, Robert Johnson learned how to play by listening to things on the radio, and he was one of the first ones that could incorporate that into his act, like right from the get-go. And so his recordings went on to do the same thing.
Huh. Mm-hmm. Well, for those who may not know that much about the genre or don't generally listen and are interested in maybe learning more about it, since it is there's so much, what's a good place to start for people?
I can cite my own experience on that. And I think I've probably got a lot of common ground here, but after I grew up listening to classic rock radio, which was influenced all by the blues, British rock bands, and then I actually had my real uncle introduce me to some of the older stuff, and I came across B.B. King live at Cook County Jail.
Yep.
And that album, it was on cassette, and I flipped it over and over and over again and wore it out. It's fantastic, and it still stands up, and that's a great place to start. But really, it depends on what kind of mood you're in. If you want to party, listen to Hound Dog Taylor and the House Rockers.
Right. Exactly.
If you're just listening on the front porch, listen to Son House, listen to Robert Johnson, listen to some of the Piedmont players.
Yeah. That's actually very true. It's it is there is a different style or a different groove of blues for any given situation.
Yeah, it really is. There are a lot of points of entry.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, B.B. King is a good one for anybody listening who may want to try. You can't go wrong with Lucille.
That's right.
So is it true that North Carolina inspired its own style of blues?
Well, yeah. The particularly in the Durham area gets a lot of really good recognition there. The names associated with it are Blind Boy Fuller from back in the early days. A little later on, Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. And then John D. Holman, who was playing. He played here in Greensboro at the North Carolina Folk Festival just a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. All the way right up to the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've still got some great players. Greensboro resident Bob Margolin. He used to play with Muddy. He played on the famous. Was it The Last Waltz?
Yeah.
He played with Muddy Waters on The Last Waltz. It was a great performance there.
Okay.
There's a guy who still plays in Memphis that I like to mention. His name's Matt Hill, and I used to work with him at the locally at a local hotel down here.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check him out.
He's
That's
awesome.
definitely a blues name.
Matt Heartbreak Hill.
It's good. I love it. Give us some details give us the details about the program itself, like what people can expect, what they may see and hear, and then where folks can go for more information about the date, if they need directions to the library, stuff like that.
Well, the Greensboro library.org. That's going to be your one-stop shop for all the information about all the events. You can catch our calendar, and it's a pretty robust calendar. We've got stuff going on every day of the week, and so it's definitely worth getting familiar with.
Yeah.
As far as the program itself, we've got a large meeting room, and I'm going to be displaying. Of course, I've got a playlist.
Of course, yes, of course.
No, I've got a couple actually. So one of them's going to be sort of a quieter, mellow acoustic one, and then a little bit more barrel house in the on the inside.
Nice.
So we can sort of trace the evolution, and there's going to be like a walking blues path. Which there's the old song Walkin' Blues, and then the Key to the Highway, and so it'll sort of trace a little bit of the chronology there. But we'll have some instruments on display. Can't share a harmonica in the COVID era, but you can at least take a look at it.
Absolutely.
See some of the older style instruments, hopefully, too. And further than that, I'm really going to highlight, we've got a smartboard and a big projector screen, and I'll be highlighting some of the ways that you can research and use library resources to dig into whatever subject you want.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. It is a fantastic resource.
Yeah.
I think probably lots of times, myself included, we get so used to just Googling everything.
Yeah.
And it really is in your best interest to remember that that's the main source of information.
we've got stuff that people don't even realize. I'll plug a couple of them. We have a song downloading service.
That's right.
You can download 5 songs for free a week. And so, for example, I had a cassette from a long time ago. I've lost it. I was able to replicate it by pulling it out. It's got a ton of choices on there. And you can find any old documentaries that you want. There's a service called Films on Demand,
right? And
just plug in blues, and boom, you got. And it's online. It's commercial free. It's free.
You have to have a library card.
You have to have a library card.
Yes, that's right. So you can go to the website. You can get a library card if you don't have one.
Right.
And if you're looking for research, if you got to do research, or you're doing it for something, or you're doing it for fun, the library is the place to go first.
That's right. Thank you. Yes, it is.
Well, guys, we could keep going all afternoon. I did want to ask you, Will, though. You and I, when we were talking before we got on the air, we were talking about up-and-coming artists.
Right.
Jack White, Black Keys, how do you feel about knowing so much and doing the research that you've done and listened to so much blues music. I mean, how do you think it's coming along with younger artists, with newer artists?
You know, that's a great question. I think be prepared. I might go on for a while on it, but it's been.
I'll cut you off.
No, I think it's great, and I think it will remain in great hands. I think the thing that happened with the blues was there was a time, you can go back to the 70s, and essentially it sort of got muscled to the side. You know, there were people wanted to listen to more. I mean, that's when funk came out.
Right.
You know, soul became more prevalent, sold more records. Motown was getting a lot of attention on the airwaves and everything, so on. But the blues never went away.
No.
You know, it won't die. It'll always be there.
And I mean, for things like funk and soul, and it was the foundation for those. So it was just kind of a.
And it's a welcome. God, it's a big umbrella, man. I liked all that too, right?
I do too. Man, yeah. Well, thanks for being on the show. Like I said, we could do this all day. I'd love to, but I really encourage any music fan, certainly a blues fan, to be there for this programming. Will and I sat here and talked for probably 20 minutes before we actually started rolling. So he's got great information, and I think it's going to be a fantastic program. So
well, thank you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's been fun. I've got a good job.
Well, before you go, I see that you brought some treats, some presents. Can you just talk about what you got here?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, this is. I hope you'll be able to see this around town. This is the flyer that I created. That's Blind Willie McTell, a Georgia Piedmont blues guitarist. He wrote Statesboro Blues. If you're familiar with the Allman Brothers, right? Again, highlighting the library's collection. All of these materials are available at the library, as long as I don't have them checked out. But they'll be back. We got CDs, DVDs, and all the books. So I've got the one on the corner there. Buddy Guy is going to be playing in town it's just a couple of weeks away. And if you want to get familiar with where he came from, Lettsworth, Louisiana, and making his way up to Chicago in the early '60s. That's a great story. And so you can dig in a little deeper in advance of the show.
So for those of you who are listening on SoundCloud, this is a good opportunity for you to go over to YouTube, because you can see all the goodies he's got. I mean, we've got a stack of DVDs and CDs and books here. So it really is just a sampling. My man has a whole bag at his feet with more stuff.
It's not everything. It's not everything either. I got some still at home. And again, it doesn't even all right. So I'm going to throw in one last thing too, because we do have another streaming service called Canopy, spelled with a K.
Right.
And you can download 5 movies for free with your library card. They have instructional videos, so you can take blues guitar lessons online, and again, it's free. You can. You never know how much stuff we've got to work with.
It looks like a lot.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Looks like a lot. All right, Will. Well, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thank you for
I really
having
hope
me.
you come back. I hope there's going to be a part 2 to this.
Why not?
Please keep going.
All right.
I think it's going to be great.
Thank you very much, Josh.
All right, man.
All right.
Stay tuned in weekly by subscribing to Talk City Greensboro on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. And don't forget, you can download Talk City from SoundCloud. That's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in to Talk City. Be sure to watch GTN, your official source for news and information about the city of Greensboro. GTN is available on Spectrum Channel 13. GTN also streams live on Roku and the city's website at greensboro-nc.gov.